Thank you for tuning into Self-Care in the Workplace. You taking this course shows that you are being intentional about implementing a wellness practice in your life that will lead to a healthier way of living. My name is Brittany Doyle, founder of Wise Health SF, and I'm very happy to be working in partnership with Laguna Honda Hospital to bring you this workshop today. This workshop is also in collaboration with Free Your Mind SF, a mental health awareness campaign. If you scan the QR code, you'll be taken to a website designed to provide you with mental health resources to meet your personal and cultural needs. You can also visit www.fymsf.org. By taking this workshop, you will understand self-care and its advantages, recognize and address challenges working in healthcare settings, and craft a personalized self-care plan. As detailed in the instructions, don't forget to access our Padlet by scanning our QR code with your phone's camera. You will actually see QR codes throughout this presentation, so be sure to have your camera handy. Now let's get you grounded with a breathing technique known to calm your body and mind. Let's listen in.
If you've ever suffered from anxiety, you are not alone. I am right there with you, along with about 40 million of my closest friends. That's right, 40 million. That's the number of adults living with anxiety disorders in just the United States alone, according to the National Institute of Mental Health. So you and I are in great company. In this video, I'm going to share with you a safe and all-natural anxiety antidote that you can use in the moment whenever anxiety strikes. It's an ancient pranayama breathing technique called Nadi Shodhana, also known as alternate nostril breathing. Alternate nostril breathing activates our parasympathetic nervous system. It balances the right and left hemisphere of our brain by balancing the airflow of the right and left nostril. This breathing practice is also the perfect bedtime companion to help alleviate insomnia and promote a restful night's sleep. Find a comfortable seated position and take a moment just to feel yourself really grounding and rooting in. Feel supported by the earth beneath you, and then lift up tall, lengthening through your spine. We're going to use our right hand, and we'll use our thumb and either your pinky finger or your ring finger, whatever feels most natural to you. We start off by closing off our right nostril with our thumb, and then taking a full deep inhale through our left. Pausing at the top, closing off our left nostril with ring finger, releasing your thumb, and exhaling from the right. Then inhaling right, pause at the top, close off your right, and exhale left. Inhale left, close left, exhale right. Inhale right, close right, exhale left. We'll do a few more rounds together. Inhaling left, closing left, exhaling right. Inhaling right, closing right, exhaling left. Inhaling left, closing left, exhaling right. Inhaling right, closing right, exhaling left. Now inhale left, hold at the top, release your thumb, and exhale out through both nostrils. And then just take a moment. You might close your eyes, place your palms on your knees or in your lap, and just observe how you feel. If you were to rate your anxiety level on a scale of 1 to 10 from when we first started the practice, just start to monitor it now. I know for me, when I practice this, I can start off at maybe a 6 or a 7, and just a few minutes of this alternate nostril breathing, I like to practice for at least 5 to 10 minutes, dramatically decreases my anxiety level down from a 6 or 7 all the way down to a 1 or a 2. So I hope you found this helpful. Please share this video with anyone you think could benefit. And remember to subscribe and head over to lizarch.com to sign up for my newsletter for more helpful tips just like this.
Now that you are grounded, you can save this tool in your self-care toolbox. Good self-care is a challenge for many people, and it can be especially challenging for survivors of violence and abuse. But honestly, it's the most important part of any healing process, and it's unique for everyone. Every healing process is different. Self-care defined. Self-care includes any intentional action you can take to care for your physical, mental, and emotional health. Now, when self-care is done right, your resilience against compassion fatigue. This is when staff is able to navigate stressors and challenges while maintaining their passion for their work. It establishes boundaries that promote personal well-being. When putting your physical health first, you are reducing the risk of stress-related illnesses and ensuring that you are effective at work. It increases your sustainable commitment to service because self-care sustains the passion and commitment of employees, preventing burnout and ensuring your dedication to serving for the long haul. It also enhances job performance because taking care of oneself leads to better health outcome, reducing absenteeism, and enhancing overall productivity. And all in all, you are just better for the community because not only are you taking care of yourself, but you are setting an example for those around you. Your coworkers see it, your family is experiencing it, and now your community wants a piece of whatever you're doing to make yourself look and feel good, especially during challenging situations. Now let's talk about challenges faced when working within a healthcare setting. Starting with the constant and consistent exposure to trauma at work. The two I would like to point out is secondary and vicarious trauma. Secondary trauma, the emotional and psychological effects of being exposed to someone else's traumatic experiences. It impacts those who deals with supporting patients and families through some of the hardest moments of their lives. Whether it's accidents, illnesses, or loss, it's all the same. People who experience this may really love what they do, but over time, it begins to take a toll. And then there's vicarious trauma. It's pretty much the same as, as the emotional trauma. It can happen when someone spends a lot of time supporting residents who often share deeply personal and painful stories. This includes loss of independence, family estrangement, or any kind of past traumas. And although someone can feel honored for being trusted with these stories over time, they can start to weigh very heavy. Resource limitations and accessibility. Now, limited resources is when working with departments that lack adequate resources for basic needs, which can pose challenges in providing comprehensive support. This looks like staffing shortages, which causes employees to work long hours, skip breaks, and handle more patients than they can safely manage. Equipment deficiencies, which may force staff to work difficult decisions about patient care, leading to moral injury and stress. Budget constraints, which limits professional development opportunities or prevent necessary upgrades, creating a feeling of being undervalued, leaving people feeling overworked. And then there's accessibility issues, access issues that can impact service delivery. This includes language barriers, which can result in miscommunication with patients, leaving staff feeling helpless or frustrated. Transportation challenges, if staff have difficulty accessing work due to poor public transit or parking limitations, this adds to their stress and reduces job satisfaction. Then there's physical barriers, facilities that are not inclusive for employees with disabilities, which can create exclusionary environments. Next, we have safety concerns. Starting with physical safety, working in environments with a higher risk of violence or instability, which can pose a safety concern for workers. And then there's health risks. Exposure to health risks prevalent in hospitals or in community health. Workplace violence is when there's physical threats or assaults from patients, visitors, or even colleagues. This includes patients with mental illness or cognitive decline, like dementia. Physical safety hazards come into place when there's injury from heavy lifting. This is when a staff is moving or repositioning patients without adequate assistance, which can lead to chronic pain or injuries, adding to physical and mental stress. Then there's the exposure to infectious disease. This is when we have insufficient PPE, personal protective equipment, which can lead to fear of infection, especially for staff with underlying health conditions or vulnerable family members at home. Or a high risk environment with regular exposure to patients with contagious illnesses, which may create chronic anxiety or guilt if they unknowingly spread this infection to others. Systemic and structural barriers, lack of pathways for career advancement when someone's in a dead end job, insufficient representation in leadership when you're surrounded by poor leaders, which goes into that saying, blind leading the blind. Inadequate acknowledgement of staff contributions across the hospital and not just in leadership. Inequities in workload distribution, giving the difficult patients with the most needs to people of color. Which leads to personal boundaries and self-care. We have boundary issues when someone has difficulty in maintaining professional boundaries due to the emotional, intimate nature of the work. When someone has the inability to say no. You find this mostly working with seniors or kids. Employees tend to go over and beyond, giving up more of their time and service to make sure that others are okay, which can result in self-care challenges, not being able to balance the emotional demands of the job with personal self-care. Now let's digest this. Was any of this relatable to you? Can you give some experiences that you have had in your community practice or life that falls within these categories? Feel free to take a second to pause this video and share your experiences on our Padlet. Remember that all responses are confidential. I thought this quote was important to share. The expectation that we can be immersed in suffering and loss daily and not be touched by it is as unrealistic as expecting to be able to walk through the water without getting wet. By author Rachel Naomi Remen. Now let's talk about the consequences of neglecting self-care. Navigating these previously discussed challenges can only be done by a special type of person. I'm sure everyone tuning in right now is resilient, empathetic, and understands the complexities in working with vulnerable patients. Sometimes we can get so caught up in our work that we don't even know we are operating on an empty tank. It's important that you understand how important it is to check in on yourself because you can't depend on your employer, your coworkers, or family members to know what's best for you. Only you know. Now let's talk about, again, the consequences of neglecting self-care. Without proper self-care, the overexposure to all of the challenges will show up in your life and work through stress, burnout, and compassion fatigue. The stress in the workplace, the harmful physical and emotional responses that occur when the requirements of the job do not match the capabilities, resources, or needs of the worker or team. I thought this chart was important to show you how stress can impact your body, mind, emotions, and behaviors. Take a second to study it. You will find that stress is associated with impaired health, headaches, upset stomach, blood pressure, impaired relationships with your supervisor, friends, or even family members, causing absenteeism from your work and personal events. It causes impaired self-image, impacting your confidence. It decreases quality of life, causing depression or sleep problems. And you'll have decreased coping, irritability, and inability to handle change. Compassion fatigue, indifference to those who are suffering. This is experienced because of numerous stressful exposures. Meet Maria, a dedicated nurse at a busy hospital. For 6 years, she has poured her heart into her work, supporting patients and their families. But recently, Maria has been struggling. She feels exhausted, she can't sleep, and she's dreading her shifts. At home, she withdrew from loved ones, feeling like she had nothing left to give. Maria didn't know it, but she was experiencing compassion fatigue, the emotional toll of constant caregiving. One day, after a tough moment at work, Maria reached out to her supervisor, who encouraged her to seek support. Through counseling, Maria learned to understand her feelings and set boundaries. She joined a support group, practiced mindfulness, and made time for exercise and family. With help, Maria adjusted her workload, found joy in meaningful moments, and rebuilt her resilience. Then there's burnout, a state of mental, physical, and emotional exhaustion caused by prolonged stress. And if you notice, everything is tied to stress. Now let's meet Lisa, a charge nurse in a busy emergency department. For years, Lisa excelled at managing stresses, supporting her team, and providing compassionate care to patients. But lately, she's been feeling off. She's constantly exhausted, even after a day off. She's been snapping at her coworkers over minor issues and avoids hanging out with her family after shifts. Charting feels endless, patient care feels mechanical, and she's questioning whether she can keep going in a job she once loved. Lisa's experiencing burnout. One evening, after breaking down in the break room, Lisa tells a trusted colleague that she's at a breaking point. Her coworker encourages her to speak with the hospital's wellness team. Together, they came up with a plan, adjusting her shifts, scheduling regular self-care time, and joining a peer support group for healthcare workers. Let's take a minute to digest all of this. Was any of it relatable to you? Can you give some experiences that you have had in your community, practice, or life that falls within this category? How does stress show up in your body? Let's take a second to pause this video and share your experiences on our Padlet. And remember, all responses are confidential. Self-care strategies. There are many types of ways to carry out self-care to meet your personal, cultural, and spiritual needs. When carrying out self-care, you want to make sure it meets your time schedule, your budget, and it's easy for you to commit to. Don't pick something that you wish you can always do unless you have the time, money, and capacity to do it. Let's go through some of these, starting with the physical. You will see that sleep is an important factor of self-care. It is recommended that an adult receives anywhere from 7 to 10 hours a night sleep. I know 10 hours is a stretch, but some people can do it. There's also stretching, walking, a physical release, like weight training, some sort of high intensity exercise. It's always good to incorporate healthy food, whether you're meal planning for the week to make sure that you're receiving all of your square meals each day, or you're changing out certain fatty foods to replace it with more healthier foods to improve your diet. Or you just scratch everything healthy across the board and eat the pizza, depending on how you feel. But we always remember that sometimes when things are unhealthy, we want to do it in moderation. There's also yoga and ensuring that you get your rest. On the emotional side, there's stress management, emotional maturity, the act of forgiveness, because it's always important to sometimes just to let things go because it can fester up inside of you. And that too can lead to stress. Implementing more compassion in your everyday coming and goings, or even kindness. On the social side, you want to implement boundaries, support systems, change the algorithm on your social media to make it more positive. Increase your communication with others. Call that old friend or that family member that you haven't talked to in a long time. The one that whenever you get them on the phone, they make you laugh and feel good about yourself. Spend time with people that you care about. And then don't be afraid to ask for help. For spiritual, take some time alone. Go for a walk, connect with nature, meditate, yoga, center yourself. Pick up a journal and start journaling, writing out how you feel about yourself in certain situations, or create a sacred space. Something like a prayer closet or a place where you can go just to unwind that's beautiful just for you. On the personal side, it's always good to get a hobby. Do something to fill your downtime so that you're not sitting home alone or, laying in bed or lounging on the couch. Get up and get active. Know yourself. That is the most important thing because in order for you to be good for others, you must first be great for yourself. And you have to know yourself. You should know what triggers you, what makes you upset, what makes you happy, so that when you implement this self-care plan, you can design something specifically for you. And then personal identity is something else that's very important because there are people out here that are workaholics to where work is their only identity. They don't know who they are once they leave the workhouse. It's important for you to have your own personal identity so that you can feed yourself and you can grow and thrive and not put all of your effort and energy just into work. And by doing this, you're honoring your true self. And then there's space. Sometimes we just need to create a safe space. We're in an environment that isn't safe. And sometimes, even though you may love your job or where you're from, it may be important to change that and to create a safer environment for yourself, a healthy environment. Sometimes you just want to clean up. That's also very important. Ensure security and stability and get organized. On the financial side, saving, budgeting, money management, sometimes you may just need a shopping spree and you can go out and splurge. And remember, do it in moderation and always come back and pay your bills. For work, time management, implementing those work boundaries, saying no, but in a tactful way, contributing to a positive workplace, or creating one. Build your capacity, learn more, take workshops like what you're doing right now so that you can be better. And take advantage of those break times. A lot of times we work through those 15-minute breaks, but let's not take those for granted. Take each one and the lunch. Get outside, get some air, walk, eat. Take time for yourself. There's also medical care. Getting medical attention when you need it is an important form of physical self-care. Now, some survivors put off getting medical care until problems get worse and become more complicated. But ensuring that you are seeing the doctor every year, when something doesn't feel right, immediately going and getting it checked out, that's self-care. Because for your patients, you're doing that for them, making sure that they're on top of their health and they're going to get checked out and that they're taken care of. It's very important to do that for yourself. Show yourself the same love and kindness and empathy that you show your patients and residents. There's also emotional care, getting into therapy and counseling. And for some, I know that may be a hard feat. For some, therapy and counseling in your culture, in your religion, in your community is taboo. But like I said before, you're doing this just for you. You're not doing this for anybody else. Journaling, again, meditation, relaxation. Take the time to evaluate your circle. See who you're surrounding yourself with. Do your friends make you feel good? Does your family make you feel good? Look at who's in your circle, because sometimes the stress and the burnout can come from that one friend that's calling you all the time with all of their drama. And you're taking that in and you're taking it to work, or it's showing up in your household. Pay attention to who you're listening to. And then find time for fun. Go out with your coworkers after work, or meet up with your friends and go to a happy hour or get coffee or do an exciting activity. But the important part is that you're making time for it. And then there's workplace support. Laguna Honda Hospital is committed to promoting the well-being of its staff by providing a variety of wellness resources and activities. These initiatives are designed to foster physical, emotional, and social health by helping employees thrive in their roles while balancing their personal needs. Starting with the Wellness Hub, which is located on the campus, is open Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. The Wellness Hub is a central resource where staff can access support, recharge, and engage in self-care activities. There are wellness classes taking place in the hub, with plans underway to introduce yoga, Zumba, and weight training, which will offer more opportunities for relaxation and fitness. Now, citywide, there are a lot of wellness activities as well. There's the EAP program, the Employee Assistance Program, which provides confidential counseling and support services for employees dealing with personal or work-related challenges. There's support in affinity groups like Working While Black Healing Circle, which is a safe and supportive space for Black employees to process their experiences, build community, and find empowerment. And then there's the DPH affinity groups, where staff can connect with colleagues across the Department of Public Health through various groups designed to celebrate diversity and foster inclusion. Now, what self-care practice stood out to you the most? Let's sit back and think about that. Feel free to pause this video. You know the rule if you need to, and share your experiences on our Padlet. And remember, all of the responses are confidential and greatly appreciated. It's great for other people to see what challenges other people are experiencing at work, what self-care practices stand out to other people, or even how stress manifests in your body. People will need to know that they are not alone with going through this challenge, and they're not alone in developing a self-care practice. This is something that we all should be doing. Okay, let's recap. At this point, you can recognize the triggers and challenges of working in healthcare. You can name your stress and how it impacts your body. You can define self-care and have been made aware of the many types of care you can provide yourself. In this last segment, we're going to create one self-care goal to be included into your self-care plan or toolbox, whatever you choose to call it. But remember, you already have the breathing technique that was shown to you at the start of this workshop. So that's already in your toolbox. And so now we're going to add one more thing to the toolbox, a goal. So you'll be leaving here with two techniques that you can use moving forward to implement self-care. Now, when implementing self-care, you have to remember, again, we are fighting cultural resistance. This is for you, by you. It doesn't matter what your community thinks, your pastor, your mother, your husband, your wife. This is for you. This is what makes you feel joy. And then we want to implement small, manageable changes. We don't want to run a marathon tomorrow. We want to walk the block first and build our way up to the marathon. And then, if you find it necessary, obtain peer support and accountability. If you do have a friend that's going to support you or a loved one that's going to support you, feel free to tell them to hold you accountable. But if it's something that you want to hold close to your heart, it's okay. It's for you, by you. Now, the first thing you're going to do is evaluate your daily routine. Think about the stressors and areas of your life that could use more joy. Reflect back to the challenges that we talked about earlier. Did any of those situations stand out to you? Do you experience it? And when you walk away, you feel depleted? That's where you want to implement a self-care practice. Anytime you walk away from a conversation, an interaction, and you feel depleted, drained, stressed, your heart is beating fast, that's where you want to take the time to stop, do some breathing techniques, take a walk, eat some food, do something that's going to just bring you back to Zen, that's going to center you back. Next, you're going to choose an activity. You're going to choose something that's going to fit into your everyday life. You're going to choose something that will bring you joy. Just to recap, this is what we talked about before: the physical, emotional, social, spiritual. We didn't mention, bubble baths, massages, going to the spa, going out to dinner, taking yourself to the movies. These are also things that can be implemented in your self-care practice. There's personal, space, financial, and work. And then we also said medical care, emotional care, checking in at the job. These are all things that you can do when creating your self-care plan. Next, you're going to practice regularly. Try adding your new routine, your new activity into your routine as best you can, and see how you feel. And then evaluate and repeat. If you miss an activity, don't be too hard on yourself. Just look for ways to adapt your plan. Your activity may be too early in the morning, it may be too late at night. Maybe you need something midday. Just look and see what's the easiest for you to adapt. And then be sure to schedule it. If you don't tell a friend or somebody to hold you accountable, schedule it in your calendar. Put it on your phone, set an alarm. Give yourself an alert to where you know it's now time to go take care of yourself. And don't be ashamed to stop whatever you're doing and walk away. As long as you're not on shift or in the middle of some rounds, take that time out for you. Wait for that 15-minute and go take some time out for you. Let's digest this. Please take the time to share one of your self-care goals. We would all love to see what you are doing to take care of yourself. There may be someone out there that can't come up with something good and may need to read what other people are doing. This is why we have this Padlet. And remember, all of your responses are confidential, so no one will ever know that it's you. And you did it. Thank you for completing the self-care in the workplace workshop. Please use your QR code that you see here to get your equity learning units, your ELUs. The link that you see at the bottom, you'll also find that in the course description, and you can access it there as well. And I just want to thank you again for taking the time to view this workshop. If you would like to connect with me and access more educational material, scan the QR code above my name. Lastly, I would like to leave you with a meditation made specifically for community workers working within the medical health industry. Thank you again for joining me today.